Welcome to another broadcast of The Soul of the Everyman on the ArtistFirst Radio Network. All past shows are archived. You can find them at ArtistFirst.com. Send your questions and comments to DJ at ArtistFirst.com. Now out to your hosts, Margaret and Michael Lyons.
Hey, thank you very much, Z-Man. It is Margaret and Michael Lyons, and I'm Margaret.
I think we're having a little identity crisis here.
Identity crisis. That's all right. I can self-identify as the smarter one in this conversation.
Oh, dear. Well, I'm Margaret.
Well, we can't both be Margaret.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. I have to get that image out of my mind.
Oh, well, I hate when that happens. And yes, but welcome to the Soul of the Everyman, where the points are made up and don't matter. Wait a minute, that's another show. No, welcome to the Soul of the Everyman, where tonight's topic actually does matter. And tonight's topic is finding your place of peace.
Mm.
So we're just going to have an hour of complete zone white noise. And after the zone white noise, you can go back to your originally scheduled programming.
What am I going to do with you?
I don't know. What are we going to do with me? Anyway, so actually, last week, we were talking, our topic last week, we brought up a couple of things that were interesting. One of them was this sort of finding your place of peace. We were talking last week about the mystery, and not to go back into that topic, but one of the things that you have to come into a place of peace before you can reconcile yourself with the fact that you're not going to know or be able to comprehend, the space that you find yourself existing in. If you don't find a place of peace, that's going to stress you out. And I think there's, there are anxiety type disorders, which are basically, or stress type disorders, which are basically engendered by people who just can't reconcile, can't kind of let go that idea that we can control and we can understand, and that with enough learning and with enough time spent, we can figure it all out. And that's a futile, and it's not only, it's the antithesis of finding a place of peace. It's finding a place of constant buzz and constant chaos and constant, mental monkey mind.
Right. It's a constant control thing, because you're believing that if you do all these things, then somehow you're going to find a place of calm.
That you have it. Finally, you have everything on your bucket list checked. And then you can kick it.
Well, seriously, it's interesting, because I think I had told this story before, but one of the young men that was in the pediatric cancer wards, because certain cancer diseases are specifically classified as a child's disease, but you may be an adult going through it, but you have to go through the peds ward in order to be treated. He was a young man in his 20s, and they have the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So he had made a wish that he wanted to spend time at the beach, to do anything he wanted, to have the freedom, et cetera, et cetera. So we had all bid him, farewell, go do, enjoy yourself. Because he sat there and he's like, well, he had a bucket list. And there was that was part of the bucket list. So after that, and he wound up coming back to the ward, I remember sitting down with him and just encountering him in the midst of it all. And I was like, so how was your vacation? He goes, "So it was good." And that's when, fulfilling the bucket list just left him feeling empty.
Mm. Yeah, because that's a perfect object example. And instead of finding a place of peace, it was really a collection of goals, or a collection of tasks or things that had to be completed, and each one in and of itself wasn't fulfilling. And then even taken as the sum of all of them, quote unquote, being done was not fulfilling, because that
Right.
in that pursuit, you're not living in the moment. You're all lists and all these kind of goal-orientated type of pursuits are future living. When I do this, when I do that, when this comes, when that comes, when I get older, when I have this, so it's all throw it all into the future. So your present self is completely starved of experience, because it is almost denied its existence toward in favor of your future self, because everything is always um, fulfillment postponed,
Right.
until I get to X, then fulfillment postponed until I get to Y, and then life now, instead of a pursuit of a peaceful place, is really a pursuit like a steeplechase, where you're continually running to the next thing,
Right.
and when you get there, exactly that. There's another. It's sort of an apocryphal story, but the whole idea of going on a journey to find oneself, and the journeys of discovery can often feel unfulfilling, because in essence, you whether you're running from a problem or running to the solution, the attainment, or the the separation, the kind of separation from the situation that you're in, never is enough. You're bringing yourself with yourself. You're bringing your 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 broken or unfulfilled self is not fulfilled merely by transporting it to California, or
Right.
or all the way around the world, or to the moon and back. It doesn't matter. You,
I'm trying to remember. There's a saying. I'm trying to remember who said it, but wherever you go, there you are.
exactly, and the wisdom of that is that the true place of peace, the place of fulfillment, doesn't require anything. In fact, put conditions, and when I get there, when I'm older, when I get this, when I get that, when I have the $1 million, whatever, that's all denying peace and denying your present self, and in essence taking your center and draining it of all possible, anything that it contains, and making it an empty place where you don't have what you need.
Well, your center is what's asking to be filled, and what you're doing is you're taking this sieve of the mind and basically sifting everything around you, so that only certain sizes of things that you've approved of can fall into your heart. And no matter how much you put in there, things will never fulfill.
That's a lovely. I have to stop right there. That's a poetic image. The sieve of the mind, in which it enmeshes experience and only lets through the tiniest grains, or whatever it is that you feel,
Qualified.
that you qualified. And well, I want this, denying the rest of the universe so that you get this tiny grain of sand that you think you want, rather than just saying, open yourself to experience, and what comes may be the most incredible thing that you never wanted.
Right. Never thought of,
couldn't conceive, but there it is. I'm reminded of some of these shows. There's many of them that are on TV these days, these reality shows, and in many ways, they're concerned with these quests or journeys. I have to have the perfect wedding. I have to get the perfect whatever. But oftentimes the best of those types of those episodes that they have, the best of them are when people are suddenly realize that what they were looking for, dreaming of, wanting, had all the lists and everything, not only doesn't fulfill, but that the thing that suddenly came out of nowhere is the most wonderful. I never thought I would have loved. You have to. Basically, the idea is that you have to open yourself to the possibility that you might get something that you need that you never thought of. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
that in fact, it's not your job. It's not your job to define what the universe should bring you. People say manifest what you want. No, open your open your heart and let what comes, and don't put a qualifier on it. See what comes in, and then just say, do I need it? Do I want it? Does it resonate with me? You let your heart guide you. Your heart doesn't sit there and say, well, what we really need is 3.5% return on our investments. The heart doesn't say things like that.
No.
No, the heart says, bring me everything, and what resonates, what echoes with me, I'll say, keep that. When you're hungry, you can sit there and say, I absolutely must have a 17 millimeter burger with this, and have all and everything down, and you deny, or you exclude the possibility of something wonderful, that you just say, bring me what's best tonight, and they bring something out and they put it in front of you and just try it, and hate it or love it, you're at least allowing the experience to be hated or loved. When you qualify everything, you basically said, I know what I want, nothing else will satisfy, and until I get that, I'm going to be perpetually empty. I'm going to starve myself of all other things with this laser focus on what I know that I want. And what's the great part about that phrase? I know what I want. The heart never says that. The heart just says, I love it. Mm-hmm. It resonates.
Right. This basically hits my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a quiet joy that rises.
Yes.
Because you realize that this is it. This is the moment. This is the experience. It may include outward things, and it just may be a moment of revelation.
You may sit down next to somebody in some a polyester upholstered lounge and say, I love this person. I'm going to be with them for the rest of my life. And then not tell them for a month. That can happen.
Oh.
Love at first sight is a thing because it's heart to heart. In fact, to say to yourself, I want, and I think we talked about this once before, I have a list of all the things, and they're oftentimes reflections of you, or really reflections of what you think you want. This guy has to have this, and has to have this much money, and has to have this tall, and he has to have this color hair, and but you've got a 1,000-line list, and people who get through 990 of them, but 992nd one, oh, it doesn't have Argyle socks. Cross them off.
People do that. Women.
I think all people, but maybe it's.
Well, if you're talking about dating, it's that women do that.
Yes, but I think you.
But in general, when trying to walk through life, that is the tendency that we have. We think, okay, maybe I'll try this, or because this sort of worked before, let me try that again.
Mm.
And just in general, I think the meticulousness of a female mind has a tendency to just fixate.
No.
On things.
No, that can't be true.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I wouldn't. I would not say this is a feminine. It's a human characteristic. It's not a feminine character. Maybe there's different ways of expressing it, but this idea again of in essence sieving everything through the mind. Putting it all behind this giant coffee filter, this giant mesh, and we only let through what we think we want, and everything else is rejected. It denies two things. It denies your own innate instinct for what you know, for what is right, what I'm hungry for, what resonates, what looks good today. When you trust your heart or you trust your gut, you go with that. Yeah, this person, I feel like I've known them my whole life. Let's get to know. Let's have a relationship. This food that I'm seeing in front of me hits me right in the place where I know my body says I need that. It's got an affinity for it.
yeah, you have a happy tummy moment.
You have a happy tummy moment. When you're trusting your heart, the heart doesn't have these blinders on, these kind of boxes and filters, and it has to have these qualifications. You can love something which appears unlovely with the heart.
Right. The heart approaches things very differently. Are you okay?
It's my heart talking.
Oh dear.
I think it's actually my allergies or my congestion talking. But go right ahead.
Well, the heart itself approaches life very differently from the head. And when it enters into a situation, it basically asks, what am I willing to embrace in this moment? It's not spoken. It's just this feeling of, what is it that I really want to embrace and engage in this moment? And when you realize that there's a part of you that lives life this way and then has been curtailed for whatever reason. I mean, there may be, you're not supposed to just go and hug people. That's random hugging is not permitted.
Right.
Or, no touching or no sharing food.
No sharing food.
There might be allergies.
Right. There might be.
But understanding that part of you, this is still a small child in you that's always been and has always basically approached everything that way.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I love small children. They just remind you of how to live without the sieve over your heart.
You're just full of poetry tonight. Live without the sieve over your heart.
Okay.
No, I mean that's an awesome way to think of it. Go ahead, but that's perfect.
No, I recalls a moment in the store when, and we'd always get small children in the store with their moms because it's an interesting and safe place to investigate.
In our Rock and Gem store.
Yeah. And
anyone who doesn't know, we used to have a Rock and Gem store.
Right, and so they would love to dig in the barrel to find all these interesting little things. Mom, this time, needed to find a present, so she was talking to one of our people about the present that she needed, and the little boy just, he wanted to investigate, and Mom was afraid he was going to do something. And he was young, and he was very active, just running through the store. So I just remember talking with him and engaging in him, and we had a barrel that was about 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
And he was short, so he wanted to see in the barrel. So we made, we had to go get the special step stool that we had for the kids, and then I showed him how it opens, and he thought that was amazing. So it opened, and I said, "Wait a minute, CC, click. Now you can step on it."
Mm-hmm.
So then I helped him climb up the steps, and he got to look into the barrel and see all the pretty rocks. He got to dig in there for a while, et cetera. So it was this wonderful, like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's a stool. Oh, look, I get it. Go in the barrel. Look at that shape. Different colors. Go just amazing. And he and I we would just be communicating. He didn't speak a lot. It was more unspoken communication between he and I. You pick a rock up and you look at it, and then he'd show you something, and then you just this back and forth. I was so happy. Then Mom, this gave Mom time to find what she needed, and she's paying for it. She goes, okay, Dan, we have to go now. We're going to go, and we have to say bye to the lady. And she's like, no, she's my friend.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh, thank you. No, but I have to work here. And Mom's like, oh, no, Dan, we're going to go get some ice cream. There's an ice cream shop down there. Okay.
Okay.
And he came over to me, grabbed my hand, and says, let's go get ice cream.
Let's go get ice cream.
He's pulling me to the door.
Right.
It's just this open-hearted, like you're my friend.
Mm. And that open-heartedness is something that, we tend to cover up over time. But, to bring it back to the place of peace, the place of peace, the place that people put their sieves over or that they cover up over time, is where that child you, where that part of you which wants to be fed in the present, which wants to go get an ice cream right now, which wants to just play in the rocks. And you can see that place of peace. We're coming up to, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're coming up to summer, and people go to the lake or they go to the beach. And if you want to see the place of peace just blossom everywhere, you have people, adults and children, sitting on a beach, and somebody starts to dig a hole. And a hole in the beach is a place of peace. And then everyone will gravitate within a certain, 20-yard, 100-yard radius, will gravitate to the hole. They will bring their various buckets and shovels, and everyone will start digging in the hole. And you will have people, from 60 to 6, all busily not talking,
right?
Just piling it. And it's this. It has this beautiful present quality. It has incredible fulfillment. There is nothing. There's nothing that will intrude upon that moment. Your heart is fulfilled, and your need to just let the experience happen. And maybe it's something, because you have this unstructured environment. People aren't wearing a lot of accoutrements, not a lot of clothes. There's this huge, giant white noise ocean that's just, that noise puts us into the space. If you want to relax, you listen to waves crashing on the beach, the sound of it. Because that noise...
and the smell of the salt.
And the smell of the salt puts your mind back into a state that it was, in the womb practically. It's an experiential state. It's a heart state, and it's a place of peace. And it's timeless. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a body. The body understands this.
Yes.
Because this was its first experience, and it understood it needed just to be quiescent.
And it puts the mind. It lets the mind let go. The worst thing you can do in that experience is to, pull back and start, answering your cell phone or something silly like that. All of a sudden, these, your kids are instantly into everyone else's kids are all there together. They have no idea who's anybody's name. No names are ever exchanged.
Oh no. Yeah. And usually, once one starts digging a hole, and the child sees it, they go grab a shovel, and they come over and they stand there like, can I play too?
Right.
And usually there's an older child who knows, oh, yeah, here, you build the wall over here, okay? Right. Someone else comes, we need a moat. Can you start the moat over here? And there's always one that sort of does this general supervision.
There's that, but it's always pretty it's pretty amazing, because the exchange of these ideas is almost, it's a word or two. It isn't, we're not talking about a project here. It's an unstructured, heart fulfilling, timeless activity that requires no planning, almost no organization. The tools are there. You've got them at the end of your wrists.
Mm-hmm.
You have your hands. You can augment them with a shovel or two, but the shovels are traded just as easily back and forth as grabbing an oversized shell and starting to use that as your implement. And it never actually finishes. The waves draw back, and then they come in, and then you're trying to, there's efforts made to try and shore up the defenses as the waves, start to erode your cast. And at the end, the waves win, but no one cares, because it never was about building the thing. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about the hole or the wall or the moat or any of it. It was just this, you're back in the timeless ocean of experience in the heart, without, as you said so beautifully, without the sieve of the mind keeping it all back and saying, oh, we shouldn't do that. Those that's their shovel. You shouldn't touch someone else's shovel. It's like no one cares.
Here, take the shovel.
Take the shovel.
We'll get another,
or we don't even care. Yeah. The disassembly of this activity at the end of the day is just because you don't want to leave a mess on the beach. It has nothing to do with ownership, really.
Right. And it's just being open to an experience, and that's pretty much what we were talking about when the heart enters a situation. Like, what do I want to embrace? And it wants to embrace this vista. It's fascinating watching people when they first come off the road, let's say, and they're dragging all their stuff, and they just stand there. And you can literally see that stress just sort of melting away.
Yeah.
They're taking the sieve away.
Yes.
Their heart's going, I want to embrace that horizon.
Right. And as they drop it, it's like they're dropping. It's such a relief. It's like this thing I have to carry around on my back all the time. Just let it go, and this becomes, that's what you're getting when you go to the beach. Is you're renewing this part of you that's so dry and so needy.
Right.
Most of the time.
Right. And
we have a dry and needy place we have to go to. That's not true. We love going back to the studio because while we're in this unstructured time, we find our place of peace.
A Reaper is the story of 5-year-old Christopher Aaron and his life-changing struggle with leukemia. Winner of both the Indie Bragg Medallion as well as the Reader's Favorite Silver Medal for Memoir, There is a Reaper has more than 100 Amazon book reviews and a 5-star rating. It has been described as life-changing, spiritual, a must-read. Just released on Audible and iTunes, this memoir is also available in paperback and on Amazon Kindle for only 99 cents. Get your copy of this life-changing memoir today.
The Timeless Esoterica radio program with Dr. Bruce is broadcast on the fourth Monday of every month at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on ArtistFirst.com. We explore topics including the paranormal, alien life, mysteries, conspiracies, hidden history, oddities, and much more. Each show will feature a special guest with exciting and thought-provoking discussion. Always keep an open mind, an open heart, live forever, and remember Dr. Bruce believes in you.
Hi, this is Minette Lauren, author of Race for the Sun. Do you believe in guardian angels? Check out Book 1 of my Soul Watcher series. It can be found on Amazon.com or anywhere fine books are sold. Go to www.minettelauren.com, and you are listening to the Artist First Radio Network.
Rick Riordan fans, love mythology with plenty of action and humor? Destroyer's Blood is for you. The new fantasy novel by award-winning author Michael Lynes is Book 1 of the adventures of Dev Kalian, the Blood series. Follow Dev and his magic sword betrayer as they are suddenly attacked and forced to return to Olympus to fight in a war they want no part in. The world of men and gods is about to be destroyed by Zeus's ancient foe, and only Dev and Trey can stop him. The conflict never stops, and the amazing twist will have you on the edge of your seat. Act now while the ebook is on sale for only 99 cents. Destroyer's Blood is available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere. And while you're there, get the free prequel, It's in the Blood, available for a limited time.
Hi, my name is Christina Garlick, and my new book, Nevada Rain, is now available. It's a sci-fi fantasy story for ages 14 and up. I hope you check it out, and of course enjoy. Also, you're listening to the Artist First Radio Network that has a station for everyone.
The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed is the latest book from Michael Lynes, the award-winning author of There is a Reaper. Featuring 13 original stories, this wide-ranging collection has everything. Forbidden love, gods versus demigods, weird invading aliens, sexy seductive artificial intelligence, and unusual passion between the living and the dead. All set amidst fantastic worlds of pain and loss and boundless joy. From the sublime to the macabre to the bittersweet, The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed will leave you breathless with laughter, brimming with tears, trembling with suspense. Available now on Amazon.com, Google Play, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere.
You are listening to The Soul of the Everyman on the Artist First Radio Network. Now back to your hosts, Michael and Margaret Lynes.
Oh. We were just having a moment of peace without you people. No, that's not true. Welcome back to the second half of the Soul of the Everyman show, and tonight's topic is about finding that place of peace. And we've over the last couple of years, we've had lots of different shows where we kind of talk about how the heart is the more trustworthy of the two, of the head and the heart. You can trust your heart, and I think language informs, because when you talk about somebody who you are in relationship with, it's at the heart level. When you're talking about that it makes your heart sing, that you had an experience which filled your heart was full of whatever, full of love, full of pride, so we know, it's the heart again is not this, couple of pounds of muscle that's in your chest. It's the part of us though that is not, the talky, doey part of us. It's the BBB part of us, the part of us that, as we mentioned in the last half hour, that comes out when you're sitting, by a lake or by the I think it's mostly by the ocean, because that um, that sound and that experience of the vista, because when you're by the sea, your view is to the horizon. It's when you watch the sun in the East Coast, watch the sun come up over the water, or in the West Coast, you see the sun go down into the water. The part of your person which is experiencing that is the heart part. It's the this is a timeless moment, but it's also ephemeral. That's the essence of being. It's a timeless moment which lasts an instant, but it's always there. The present is endless, but it's also instantaneous. You have to appreciate it. You have to pay attention to it, because it's moving very, very quickly. That sunset is a moment in time. There'll be another one, but it'll be different. And you have to appreciate every one of them, every sunrise. And then you start to move it even further and closer and closer. Every breath, every heartbeat is an experiential moment. If you get all the way, you narrow that focus all the way down, then you're in the enlightened, ever-present now. Heartbeat, breath. And the beach brings us there. The ocean brings us there. And you want to try and stay there. It's not easy, because there's a lot of distractions, and there's a lot of mental potpourri up there that's trying to stir you away from the heart, but with practice.
Yeah, the ocean invokes that mostly because it calms different parts of you. Your body calms down because it's being given signals that it remembers from way back. So the body is like, oh yes, I remember this. And then your mind realizes that there's so much to see. It can't encompass that horizon.
Right.
That usually sort of stuns the mind into silence.
Yes, it's exactly true. The vastness.
Mm-hmm. It's like looking up into a night sky and all the twinkling going on over your head. It stuns the mind into silence. It's just lovely.
Right, and then the heart. That's another exactly good. When you stare up into a dark, starry sky. People on the East Coast or on both coasts were deprived of the night sky because you have a lot of haze and you have a lot of light pollution. But if you go out west, get out into the big sky country, and it's arid and there's nothing around you, and there's this vastness. You're literally you realize how small you are, and it stuns the mind. The mind has the mind loves little itty bitty details, like what do we do now? What do we do now? Let's fill that. What's this? It loves this little fiddly stuff. But the soul, the heart, is the only thing that can encompass the vastness of a night sky, or the limitlessness of the horizon.
Right. At that point, it's at that point, because even your emotions. If you have emotions that are rising, you've been worrying about this, or or afraid of something, then suddenly awestruck. It quiets that as well. And it allows the heart, again, to, I embrace this. I embrace this vastness. Heart's not afraid to embrace vastness, things completely outside of itself. It understands that. That's what I find fascinating. People don't want to embrace that idea, that your heart is capable of embracing vastness. That blows my mind.
Well, exactly. It blows up the mind which wants detail and process and tiny little things because that's all it can handle. And it says, well, that's all there has to be because that's all I can handle. The heart, on the other hand, doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
It says, I am one with the vastness. This is the echo of me everywhere. And when I see it, the mind goes, yeah. And the real I goes, yes.
Yeah.
It's not even a word, but it's just this, it is me. And I am part of this incredible vastness. You look out into the night sky, and you realize that even what you can see is so limited, and it doesn't matter. Your mind's not even thinking, can I count all the stars? No, and it doesn't matter that you can't count all the stars.
I make patterns in the stars.
Yes. And that's what, the sand on the beach is like that too. Those grains of sand, or the limitless horizon, or this majesty of a sunrise, puts the mind into a kind of a sort of a coma, not comatose, but it's a like, I can't be, stunned.
Stunned is the only word I can think of, but it's understanding that once the heart expression goes there, and it's funny watching the way your own mind and emotions work. It doesn't like that at all. It's like, no, we must impose some order here, so that we can manipulate things. I've got to put a handle on something.
Right. Yeah. Without a handle, the mind is truly, insecure. It needs those handles.
It doesn't like it, and it's in mathematics. It's when you get 1 over infinity. That is horrific in mathematics. Your singularities are horrific. They're not supposed to exist.
Yeah, you're divided by zeros. You're 1 over 0. Exactly. The heart looks at,
and the heart embraces that one over 0.
It doesn't matter.
Is undefined,
right?
Which means that the heart goes, yes, undefined.
Undefined.
La la.
Because the joy of the undefined moment is that the mind is incapable, or rather, it becomes it doesn't have a purpose in the undefined. Now, before you write all these letters and say, well, I need the mind. Yes, you do. Yes, we don't. We need the mind. The mind is an incredibly important, essential. We're not eschewing one for the other. We're just saying that using the mind for all things is like, I've got a hammer, so everything looks like a nail. That's not right. You've got a mind, but not everything gets to be weighed, measured, quantified, understood, controlled, list. If your mind was the only thing that was you, then you might as well be an automaton or a construct. We're not constructs. There are parts of us which are certainly mechanistic, and there are parts of us which are certainly, in the realm of time, this and that, and the future, the past. There are parts of us that are there, but there are parts of us which are timeless and vast and beyond the mind. And if you don't balance the two and realize that the core needs to be fed, the being needs to be being, while the mind and the doing needs to be doing, you can't just be one. You run the risk of really making yourself sick.
Yeah. Depression usually. Because the mind can't answer all the questions, so it gets depressed.
Yes. Or it feels, there's stress, and there's tremendous stress if you try to apply the mind to everything. There's a tremendous damage you do to your body if you try to deny the present, deny the be, and always be the do. Like I said, you're always literally chasing everything. We said this in the first half hour. Always chasing the future goal, never satisfied in the present moment. And when you reach it, it's unfulfilling. You get the sense of wasting your life. You get the sense of futility, and if it goes to the nth degree, it can become a black depression, a black despair. Nihilism is the end result of the mind trying to be applied to everything, because then you say, well, nothing matters.
Well, okay, I'm going to go back. We had discussed last week about I am being God's name, and presented a concept of, well, I am what is man's name. Because we're always asking, what am I?
Yeah.
So I am what? When you have that idea that you've got to answer every single question, it's got to be within this box of thinking it through all the time, your I am becomes exceedingly limited. And there's a part of you that knows, just knows deep inside, you are not limited. You want to stretch your wings into a vastness of freedom that the soul understands. So, disregarding that usually means that you do not allow a life that is around you in. The life that's around you is a flow of the spirit that is. So, is that what you want? You know, sitting there, you realize that as a human being, you are here to experience it all. You are to experience what it means to be able to control situations or not control situations or try to manipulate situations or try to understand what's going on, all of it. And doing that in relationship to other people. There, it adds a whole new dimension there, because suddenly it's not just from your perspective. So you have to take your I perspective and take a step out into the realm of others.
People to blame.
Yes. Usually that's the first step. That is the first step. You did it.
Where bad ideas come from. Other people.
Other people.
But I'm sorry, I interrupted your point.
So if you realize that you're meant to experience this, you really are. Not to run from it. Be honest with yourself on, how do I feel when that happened to me? Did it bring up fear? Did it bring up anger? Did it bring up depression? What did it bring up? You know, I'm sad over this. And how do I say this? In order to process your emotions, you must be in a space that is safe. Okay, a place where you will not be condemned for having your emotions, in order to acknowledge that they exist, because many times unprocessed emotions are at the core of not being able to embrace peace.
True.
Okay, this is why I'm bringing it up. So where do you go where you feel safe enough to process these emotions? And the truth of the matter is, many times you can't go to another person. Okay, your first instinct is to try to talk to somebody about it. But many times it's the other person. I mean, you may try to find someone who you think might understand, but usually it's a unique experience. These are your emotions and your experience. So in order to embrace that, you have to come to a space, excuse me, a space where you feel safe. And what I found is a lot of people, they feel they do not want to run to God with this. They want to run away from God because they've done something or felt something that they feel they're going to get condemned for. They run away. They don't want, the shame and blame.
Hmm?
Yeah. That's the first instinct, as you said. Who do I blame for what went wrong? Everybody scatters.
Well, yeah.
Run away!
Run away, yeah.
But when you realize that the only place you're going to be able to process all of this is in that heart space where your spirit is, where God is.
Well, the vastness, if you will.
Yeah.
The reconnection to spirit, to that which is beyond the do, back into the be, is a safe spot, is a place where if you have emotional traumas, or if you have just things which are preventing you from having peace, you're not going to get it by investigating more details,
right,
and investing in more emotional traumas. Because
right.
if you already don't have a peaceful spot, running further away, running further into the details, running further into the next goal, running further into the next trauma of emotions, or roiling yourself up further, is not going to get you to the peace. It's like
the next relationship.
The next relationship,
mm-hmm.
right? Whack my hand with a hammer. It hurts really bad. The cure is not another whack with the hammer. Generally speaking, the cure is to draw back into the heart, draw back into the vastness. Realize that this is an experience which you can put into its proper place. It is not you. It is not encompass or in any way limit the vastness of the being that is you. It was something that happened, something bad or something good, but it's just a thing, an experience, a dot, a moment. It was there, it's gone. It is not something to be worried about in the living future. It's not something to be recalled and regretted living past. It's to say, like everybody, I had a bad moment. Bad things happened. I encapsulate that moment. It's part of the vastness of me. It's a piece, a very tiny piece of the being of me, which being of me goes on from the beginning of my life to the end of it and beyond that. The next moment is here. The next moment is filled with a new moment to be. And you have that safe space. You have that place where you realize that the endless chasing of a future perfection of an illusion, or the endless regretting of a past injury, through this kind of living in the past or living with trauma or always constantly, holding a grudge or being in unforgiveness, all that just takes away. It means that you ripped yourself away from your present moment, your present joy, your present ability to be vast, and fragmented yourself all over. 17,000 billion parts of me are in the future thinking about what I'm going to get to, and the other 17 billion parts of me are in the past thinking of all the bad things that happened, and nothing's here. You're just this void in the middle. No, let all those things, drop them like they were hot, and be, and then all of a sudden you'll have the whole vastness of you and the universe and all the stars in the sky and the limitless horizon, and those things will just be what they are, little grains of sand on the beach. There are a few over there that I passed over already. There's a few over there that I might get to eventually. They don't matter. They're just sand grains. I'm the guy on the beach, or the lady on the beach, looking at the horizon, saying, "This is magnificent. This is so cool."
It's also allowing yourself to I say this? There are experiences that mark you. It marks a change in who you thought you were.
Yes, they inform you.
And it's allowing those to happen. In other words, allowing the change to happen, because what matters is what is left here. Not what has been lost, but what is left. The good that comes is going to come from what is in your hands in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's acknowledging that. It's not going back and overanalyzing something, saying, well, if I did it this way, then I would have more of this, or if that didn't happen, then this. It has nothing to do with it. It's what is in your hands in this moment that you're willing to embrace, to bring experience of life to you. Are you willing to choose that? Because you must choose that actively. And if you do not choose that, that is when you really must be very contemplative and with yourself to find out why. Why do you not choose peace? And you may have a very valid reason. I'm not saying there's no valid reason for it, but it means that you've shoved that down so far that all you have is this feeling and cannot see where the root of it is. So it means that needs to be searched out and addressed.
Well, I think, and that's something we need our next hour, which we're not going to get. But I mean, the idea of choosing peace is as good as of an hour's topic as living in your peace. And choosing peace is what we're going to have to talk about next time, I think. Choosing peace, because I mean, we did have an idea. I think we even talked about choosing peace a little bit in our topic, but we didn't get there.
That's true.
We chose to talk about something else. Anyway, but it actively, you see, I think that there's a dichotomy there. If we talk about it for 2 minutes, and the dichotomy is this: is choosing peace also means, in essence, choosing not to engage in the future living or the past living. You choose now when you choose peace, and it is active. So it is an action of being. Being is also an action. Again, language always informs.
And this is something.
I think you have to choose to go back to the studio.
Right. This is something that we will have to continue at another point.
Exactly. So
this has been the soul of the Everyman, and I'm Margaret.
Right, and I'm choosing to be Michael now.
Oh, good. And thank you for listening.